Greetings and salutations, friends. It was exactly 4 minutes and 20 seconds when, oh, my controller batteries are low. I'm going to be swapping out. I don't remember if that disconnects the stream or not, but please bear with me one moment. Right on time, but also ready to mess things up. Here we go, friends. Greetings and salutations once again. Let's do a quick sound check. Sound check, sound check. Let's do a quick sound check. Sound check, sound check. Sound check is good. Alright, I'm on headset. We are here. Welcome to the pregame chat lounge session. What to talk about, friends. Well, first of all, this is another one of those games that I remember hearing about when it was getting ready to drop, and that I was really interested in and really kind of wanted to play. There was a couple of other ones. I think I got my hands on some edition of the very first one on a PC and played it on a laptop in like the lowest possible graphic setting you could ever imagine setting. So it's a delight and a pleasure and a joy to be taking a very first impression test drive jump into it on the Xbox Series X. God, I had so many things to say. My brain is suddenly empty. 7 minutes and 7 seconds. So in theory, right? As far as the way I understand things, and you'll forgive me or correct me if I'm wrong, but in theory, video game content is a thriving industry because there's enough people, both young student age people and young adults, and heck, I'm considered an ancient one by many, that have enough interest that makes it a sustainable industry. My question is, and has been for a really long time, since long before Ready Player One, if I may be so bold, because I was asking these kinds of questions in my youth, which was literally a long time ago, long before that movie and most others I might reference came out. And my question has been like, what would gaming be like if commerce at large went virtual and went cyber and went 3D immersion? If we often think of those 3D immersion and virtual reality as a place where gaming is leading the cutting edge, and arguably you could say it is, but what would gaming be like if the entire backbone of society, ahead of gaming, from the military industrial complex to every kind of trade and engineering and design and science and commercial corporate enterprise, preempted the gaming industry and was just like, we need to do high tech cyber work from home, full immersion, virtual reality to do all our things and like create a technology for it. I know that's got nothing to do with this game necessarily, or at least I don't know. I'm gonna laugh when it turns out it totally does. I don't know anything about this game other than I know it's a first person shooter, and I don't know if it's like first person, or like over the shoulder first person. I have no idea. I may not want to play it. Who knows? Every once in a while, there's a game I think I want to play, and then it's like gross, no, sad, terrible choice. Not gonna play it. I'm not accusing this of that or that of this. It is now 10 minutes and 10 seconds. Seeing as I'm sitting here chatting by myself, and there's not a lot of like live chat audience to help shake things up, I might wrap it up sooner rather than later. But also, you know what they say, like the advice that the platform gives you says like, be sure you stream a minimum of 2 hours, more like 3 or 4, to give people plenty of opportunity to sort of trickle in. Okay. I'm trying to shake things up and deploy episodes of varying lengths and various angles of approach that are all within a consistent sort of brand enterprise. So, welcome to the show. I am your host. We're talking about fan fiction writing in terms of what I was rambling about earlier. I'm thinking about like the world that I'm creating. And for those of you who don't know, this is why I'm always hyping the link page solo.to/Mr. Zeppo, so that you might explore some of the art that I am and will be developing aggressively in the not too distant future, especially on special focus weeks when I take a whole week to focus on that. As well as like the pages over on Wattpad that I'll be writing a little bit more often and dropping as often as possible, even at rough draft levels. And the new experimental level of podcasting episode. The podcast has always been, for clarity, for people who, or for my own need to ramble about it really quick. I host this podcast that I have been hosting for almost 6 years, I think, going on 6, if not already 6.5, called the Almost Daily Zencast. And it's many things. It's got many different kinds of episodes. And it's been sitting there kind of accruing for a long enough time. I like to say I'm halfway through my 10-year-long overnight success story, which is an actual industry mythology. Excuse me. And the podcast has always been a MacGuffin. For those who don't know what that is, it's an actual industry term from film, from the film industry. It's always been a sort of magical object, almost a sacred object. It's a secret object. It's a discovered thing, and the reason it's weird and MacGuffin-y and sort of is because it's a collection of cassette tapes, an antiquated, forgotten, lost technology in the post-Trumptopian near dystopia that I'm writing in the book series, in the book universe known as the Zeppoverse. And it gets sort of carted around and kicked back and forth between various investigative agencies and lands on the desk of our beloved central character, Mac, Agent Mac, formerly redacted name known as Mac the Knife, or just Mac Knife. She is, for those who don't know and aren't aware, an Amazonian Linda Carter-esque woman of slightly taller than average proportions, slightly more muscular build than average body, configuration. Sort of like a Jessica Rabbit meets insert name of famous wrestling federation lady here, error, name not found, and Wonder Woman, right? Except in a sort of toned down human package. Got got some basic anger management issues, got some intimacy, hang-ups, has a tendency to lead people straight into chaotic situations that often cause traumatic injury and or exposes them to the risk of death, all in the name of working for an alphabet soup fictional governmental agency that is one wing of the security apparatus in this fictional bifurcated nation state multi-tiered corpo government that is the home base of the self-described good guys. Now the question is, are the good guys the left or the right, or are they a hitherto unnamed third party? Oh, I need to clip this and save it and put it in a podcast episode for development and talk more about it. So Agent Mac, is the main character of a book entitled 0 Hour. She is also, in a sort of prequel flashback sort of way, one of the central main characters, the one that you sort of think the book is going to be about, but it's actually sort of more about this other person that was very close to them and that you don't expect to see coming, everything that develops. Hard Knock Life? School of Hard Knock Life, or is it just Hard Knock Life? Or is it Hard Knock School of Life? The title's been changed a few times and I forget. But sample chapters for all of these are available on wattpad.com, which you can find the direct link to over at solo.to/Mr. Zeppo. The game stream, I think, might also become a MacGuffin of sorts, in as much as that if I archive it and keep it on like YouTube forever, then it could be something that I reference in the body of the like storytelling, like the cassette tapes of which they don't know because all the labels have like blurred and worn out and or been taped over, written over, scratched over, redacted. There's this box full of cassette tapes, some of them in cases, some of them not in cases. And no one knows what a cassette player is. No one's seen one, no one's heard of one, no one's come across one in the junk market. They just haven't existed for a minimum of like 55 years, okay? And history is such a touchy and taboo subject in this high def video game enthusiastic near dystopian cyberpunk future that I'm developing, that they don't talk about very much about the past. They're very rooted in the immediate actions of the past that's so recent that it still feels like the present, and nothing more than like 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago and beyond, it's sort of, we don't talk about it anymore. Because fuck it. It brings up too many weird questions. And that's for all kinds of different reasons, but it's a cultural norm. It's sort of just considered rude. It's a bore. You're such a tedious troll if you're going to talk about boring, lame-ass ancient history. Because everything's all upside down and backwards in this world. And to recap, these audio tapes, although I'm not going to like try to transcribe the entire body of work of the actual podcast, which in theory, knock on wood, will just keep being a thing, like as if I worked at a radio station part-time to pay the bills, and it'll just keep growing. It is listened to in 25 plus countries around the world, by about 2 dozen people. And I don't mean in each country, I mean total. But hopefully, those 2 dozen people are telling 2 dozen more people who are telling 2 dozen more people who are telling 2 dozen more people. But as something that, ow, sorry, I keep object striking the headset, which must make an annoying noise to anyone listening to the show. But so by MacGuffin, I mean that, like, so the audio tapes of this podcast, the real podcast that I've been hosting, which has in large part been emphasizing on real life social commentary and public discourse, like asking questions like that I don't see anyone else asking, criticizing things that I think need to be critiqued that maybe others aren't really criticizing, or that maybe I'm piling on, who knows. But it's also a place where I've occasionally just shared and described and tried to talk about my creative process and the content that I like to create that would eventually become my franchise, right? I used to say my Harry Potter, but what's her name is digging herself a hole that I don't want to try even begin to defend, so I'm gonna stop that. So it's gonna be my Westworld. It's gonna be my insert name of awesome property here that made a bunch of people famous, made a bunch of people lots of money, and empowered artists to go on and make other art. And in that universe, in this post dystopic world, what we don't realize in the when you're reading the books, what you don't realize right away is that there's a lot of violence in it, and I don't know how much of a slow burn reveal I'm trying to make it. Uh, that's still, that part of it is the chemistry of all that is still in the processing machine. But I'm telling you now, dear witnesses in the upfront, is that they're all inside of not an evil like jail matrix, but a benign matrix of like pacifism, because everyone got fed up, right? And in this world, to sort of overcorrect, they made society super violent, but in a totally non-lethal way, by embedding everybody and everything in hyper realistic, super immersive, fractal holographic virtual reality. And we'll talk about more about that at length, but I wanted to share that here in this pregame chat lounge session, because this video game stream, as of now, is going to be, I've officially promoted it to like MacGuffin status. There's going to be a bunch of VHS cassette tapes, which is anachronistically like retro incorrect, but there's going to be a bunch of VHS tapes of this like fictional version of me doing the original game stream show underground. Remember how there's e-zines and or just zines from back in the day, like homemade self-published magazines where people literally, like, especially with the rise of Kinkos, would just publish Kinkos published magazines and distribute them through a little like mailing list inside the magazine. You just like drop a bunch of free ones off, and then if you wrote back and donated $1, you'd get, the next copy or whatever, etc. Well, imagine a retro revisionist future in the setting as I've previously described here and or in the podcast, in which before YouTube, before Twitch, a young enterprising video game enthusiast started, who was, obviously in a well-to-do place in a well-to-do family, started videotape recording episodes of all of their video gaming as an action, like on an Atari 2600. I'll probably make up fictional decks, fictional gaming machines to make it fun and sci-fi-y. But they start doing this way before the internet even exists. So the videos are just videos that they made for themselves, and then when it would make sense growing up a little bit, that they would reproduce and distribute because they were kind of fun and entertaining. Because the whole time, from the very beginning, even before it occurred to him, he was this character as a kid was pretending to be like part of a newscast. Like the whole thing was like, "Welcome to the news," and he was the anchor. But he also played the weather person, and he also played, instead of sports, it was the video game desk, like headlines, weather, and now for video games. Boom, and there was a whole hours long super in depth nerding out about video games and playing them and videotaping yourself playing them, because this kid had like 5 video cameras and like all the right nerdy hard old school analog gear to like edit and master press not just a VHS, but like whatever, some fancy schmancy like high def. I made this and it look good on your really high end playback systems, because even back in the shitty VHS days, there was crappy players and there were high end players, and there was there wasn't high def per se, but there was definitely like better clarity video playback. Anyways, I rambled long enough. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me ramble about that. I'll probably highlight this later because I want to remember it and use it and transcribe it. But I never have quite enough time. Babbling is over. Let me bookmark that, and we'll move on to the actual gameplay. Can you imagine though, like being? Oh, I just hit the wrong button. Ruined it. Starting over. Copy paste. Shouldn't be that hard. It isn't. I just messed it up. I don't know. Okay, pregame chat lounge session ends right there. I'm going to say one last thing, though. I don't know who's officially credited with inventing, quote unquote, the idea and or the technology of game streaming. But I love this, like, prequel revisionist backstory I just gave to some character or another that grows up inventing old school VHS, underground video game kids TV show that then gets picked up by, like, let's say like a local cable access channel in his late teens, and then becomes a mogul and runs the world's first media reporting on gaming industry mogul. This character is the grandfather because he kind of establishes a gaming empire that grows over the next several decades. And this retro, when I say Atari 2600, like, this all happened in the 80s, but a messed up, exaggerated, sci-fi version of like the 80s that leads to full-blown 3-term Trumptopia. So all kinds of reverse engineering as to like what that kind of retrofuturism is like. But I digress. That's for those who skipped ahead. That's what you missed. And now we shall, without further ado, press the menu button. Am I supposed to hold it? No, there it is. Syncing data for Deus Ex Machina. Square Enix membership is a free service that allows you to access exclusive content such as interviews, blogs, giveaways, and more. You must be a registered member to view some of the exclusive content. For more information, visit membership.squareenix.com. To learn how to Square Enix will use your information, please read our privacy statement, Square Enix Privacy. You can create a link to your account in the Square Enix menu at any time. Okay. I'm going to do that later. I'm going to do that like off stream. For now, we're just going to roll on in there without this. Membership Square Enix. I'm going to type it in my monitor so we can look at it. There it is. Membership Square Enix users login. I think I may have already done this. I already fired up this game. I don't remember what I signed in with, if I did, and I don't remember if I wrote it down in my book. Saving that for later. Okay. Deus Ex Machina story, Breach, Jurgensen stories, Extras, options, shop, Square Enix. What's extras? Deus Ex Machina Revolution recap video. Use this option to experience the recap of Deus Ex Human Revolution. Deus Ex Mankind Divided announcement trailer. Deus Ex Mankind Divided, the mechanical apartheid credits. So Human Revolution, I believe, is the game immediately before this one, which I kind of wish I had. Desperate Measures is free, and System
Nice work with the train, Chang, but we got another problem. A bomb scare.
Oh, there's a little video.
Can't get into Tarvos until it's resolved.
I've been to that office before. They're in the middle of building an access area connected to the station.
I'll be breaking into the offices of a security company. Think they'll thank me for identifying flaws in their defenses?
Yeah, probably not.
Cool. That multiplayer? I guess that's multiplayer. Story. Let's. Oh, wait. Back it up. Whoa. I've never seen imagery from this game specifically. Let's get into it, friends. I'm going to turn off my mic and we're going to enjoy whatever opening sequences that don't require game input. And then I'll get on to it with whatever the opening playthrough chapter is. And then we'll talk about our impressions. Ooh, I love the cyborg arms and the cyborg legs. That's hot. That's awesome. I don't mean hot in like I'm sexy for transhumanists. I mean, as a writer and a world, appreciator of sci-fi and science fiction, it's great. My actual real-life opinion about what we can, could, should, would do is so out of the box, sophisticated and nuanced that people may not appreciate it no matter what perspective they originate from. But it would help if everyone caught up and really got into what Terrence McKenna has to say. But that's a whole nother reference and a whole nother episode of the Almost Daily Zencast kind of content. All right, let's get started on this new game, friends. Let us watch it.